Doing hey y'all, what's up? We ain't got no hats on. No. Hey man, what's up? We back again for another week. You know what I'm saying? Hitting the show up, letting you know what's up. This is the Light in the Sky, the 4400 recap show over CW's new melanated sci-fi. We are alive in the future. Show 4400. I am your co-host, Rhayne Coleman, and I have with me today, like y'all, you should be used to this shit. Um, who's with me today?
Robert is with you today and reviewing yet another episode of this sci-fi spectacle
Yes,
show.
yes, 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 yes. This is all right. So we are well into episode 4, season 1, episode 4. This is the Harlem's Renaissance Man. You already know who it's gonna
Mhm.
be about. We knew just from the title. Andre looks to study some of his new friends, but mistakes from his past begin to affect him in present day. Rev finds some information about his son. Woo! This
Yep,
episode is what's up, man?
there's there's a lot going on.
Yes.
Um, some of it story wise, I mean it worked, but they got like one of the characters in particular makes a decision. And I was like, "This is where we're going with him, huh?" And then
Yo.
and you might know who I'm talking about already.
Yes.
So
Oh,
it kind of answers it. We'll get to that, but
yeah.
a couple of revelations. I mean, with a big one at the end,
Hmm.
and but I enjoyed the episode overall, and this
Hmm.
was one I've been looking forward to
Yeah.
because it was the focus was on Dr. Andre or Dr.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
So.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Same. This. Okay. So I didn't watch this live. I
Mhm.
had some stuff going on, and so I watched it live on the repeat rather, and I was like live tweeting, watching on the CW app, and I mean, I wish I could have caught this live because my
Hmm.
God,
Yeah.
there was a lot going on. Shout out to God Given Name over on Twitter. That's been my kind of 4400 buddy, like me and homie, and
This
I'm
is
not
up.
sure how they identify. I'm gonna say they. I didn't check pronouns. My apologies, but
Hmm.
yeah, we've been rocking. There's a few other people as well. I'll definitely shout out as I remember to write stuff down. But me and God given name, we've been on it. So in the Twitter sphere, Doc is a fan favorite as well.
That's
And
awesome. Cool.
yes, I
Well,
I love it. I'm a fan.
hmm.
Um, you know,
Yeah.
hey, yes. So, getting right into the mess, man. What are we?
The
What are we?
mess.
It's the drama.
Yeah.
The yeah. I'll say drama. Drama's probably better than mess for at least for the
Yeah.
first part.
No, that was Black Lightning, but no, they're yeah. I mean, we can, like I said, we hit those highlights. One of the biggest things for me was I. It's interesting that they gave Dr. Andre more, and I'm not saying he wasn't complex before, but
Hmm.
this one it was like borderline obsession. Like he was getting into like
Hmm.
Jarrell type, like a type of level, but it's one of those things where you understand where with being the person that he was back in the day,
Yep.
wanting to get some type of acclaim, not even acclaim, but just like recognition, for the
Yeah.
work that he was doing. That kind of pushing him at certain points to the obsession end where literally, his I think it was his girlfriend
Hmm.
says, "Come back to me,
Claudia. Yeah.
Claudia,
Claudia.
like
Oh
come back to me." And that
no,
line was just
Cynthia. I don't know. Go ahead. I'll look it up.
I'll check the list, but that was the cast list. But that them kind of giving, kind of building on his character
Hmm.
really stood out to me.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
we're like any thoughts on that?
I loved it. I loved it. I loved it.
Hmm.
um, I, I think I'm enjoying this show so much more than I have others is because as a fan, I am learning to manage my expectations. Not that this
Hmm.
isn't a good show. I
Right.
think it's good, but I think where a lot of shows like Riverdale and Black Lightning for me had like great first seasons, and then they went off the rails, and I was like emotionally attacked by it. With this show, I don't think I'm going to have the same reaction. I say all that to say this is a CW's rendition of the Harlem Renaissance. And so what
Hmm.
we got in that space in those flashbacks I thought was done really well.
Hmm.
Um Another part is highlighting the existence of marginalized people from that time period,
Yeah.
even aside from the doctor being a doctor, scientist, a
Hmm.
person of STEM, just existing in ways that you don't ordinarily see just in
Right.
random people in media. Now there were some folks who I didn't know in my upbringing. My first thought was like, is that a guy, is that a girl, does she got a beard,
Hmm.
does he got a beard? That was something that I also was like, okay, one, it doesn't matter. And
Yeah.
when I say it doesn't matter, not that person doesn't matter, but that trying to rationalize what I'm seeing did not matter.
Hmm.
I think it something I kind of recognize about myself, that regardless of being in this community, I'm still probably have my own hurdles to cross or whatever. But
Hmm.
I like that visually all those people fit within the time frame, but were
Hmm.
so different from what you would expect when you look at one of these historical either documentaries, old pictures. This felt like we were being brought in on a conversation that you don't ordinarily hear. Like you
Right.
can look at any time period, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and so forth, but there are certain communities that just aren't um, already, are not always prevalent or are not always visible in those communities. And I like that initial sepia
Hmm.
scene with
Yeah.
those four or five people and Doc and Doc's lady. I was like, this is cool.
Yeah.
This is cool. It's
Hmm.
cool, man. It's cool.
There, I mean, there was, so that was my other kind of highlight was the Harlem flashbacks.
Mhm.
I'd been waiting. This is one of the things I've been waiting for a while. Ever
Mhm.
since we got the press release, and then the trailers, highlighting this is Dr. Andre's story,
Mhm.
and it for me because it's showing a marginalized group within a period of time where um it just like you don't see a depiction of of these group of folks
Mhm.
in popular media or like whatever mass media or whatever you want to say.
Mhm.
And the example that came that popped in my head was Lovecraft Country, that
Mhm.
episode where
Come on.
Montrose
Yep.
went and was with like with his folks. Is that was one of the best episodes I feel, or like a moment for him to just kind of step out and be himself.
Yep.
And I can't remember which episode it was, but um that was set during the 50s. That was like
Mhm.
the 50s, 60s, and this is a few decades back in the 20s, because there's something that Dr. Andre he mentions, like I was a physician in the Great War, or
Mhm.
so that was
Mhm.
World War One. So that would have been like 1910s to 1910, 1915, or in between
Mhm.
that time. So now he's back, stateside, and just having a just casual conversation about the some of the issues that he was dealing with was kind of being a quote unquote underling to this white man who was taking his the credit
Yep.
for his work. But it was just like these people are just chilling, and
Mhm.
just kind of hanging out and just enjoying themselves. And
Yeah.
I thought that it was something that worked really well. And like I said, thinking about that scene in Lovecraft Country, these two, those are two moments that
Mhm.
are just kind of mirror each other.
Mhm.
And I'd love to see more of it. It's like I love that we're getting this in speculative fiction.
Mhm. Yep.
And I always say that if there's another series like the Star Trek Discovery, you're seeing that also in in that work too. So
Mhm.
I just this is what I've been waiting for.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Yeah.
and I was happy that the episode overall really just worked. But like I said, in addition to showing his kind of obsessiveness, with
Mhm.
being the
Mhm.
scientist or the doctor. So
Yeah. And that episode was episode 5, Strange Case.
Got you.
For those of you who might be, who didn't watch Lovecraft Country, first of all, where were you? But check that out. And I would also go so far as to say episode 7, I Am, with the Hippolyta focus episode kind of
Hmm.
lends itself to this as well with the Josephine Baker flashback
Right.
and whatnot.
Yep.
So
Hmm.
yeah, I would venture to say that probably had some impact on it as well. And
Yeah.
oh, if this show had that Lovecraft Country sheen,
Hmm.
this yo,
There's, I mean, and it's something that we always talk about this. I mean, it's like people, the CW network TV compared to like,
right?
streaming
HBO,
television
streaming,
or, the premium networks. I mean, there's always going to be a budgetary
yeah.
issue, and sometimes it shows. I
Hmm.
mean, we even said that about the previous series being on USA.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
we always joke that that was the home of Monk and Psych
Ah,
and Suits. Suits.
yes,
But
yes,
so there were, you could tell that they didn't have like a huge budget for, for some of the stuff that they were trying to do. So
yeah,
I think that they're working with what they got, and it's not bad. I mean,
yeah.
like
Oh no, not at all.
yeah, I felt that when, we had the flashback to, I mean, to be honest with you, this was probably the most, I felt like I was actually in that period of time
Okay.
versus like, we have the flashback to with LaDonna,
Hmm.
and then also Reverend
Rev.
Johnson.
Hmm.
And I think one of the things being is that those seem closer in time.
Yeah.
Even the Reverend with his box, fade or whatever. Like we didn't, outside of
Yeah.
like the music accompaniments to those scenes, like we didn't really
Hmm.
feel like, oh, this is we're taking a step back in time. But when it
Hmm.
comes to this scene and music that's being played, the style of dress that's being worn, it's like
Hmm.
we're back in the 20s.
Yeah.
We didn't have to go out into the streets and it's like, oh, look at that old building.
Yeah.
So this is actually the first time that I've actually felt that we time traveled. To be
Hmm.
honest with you, so
Yeah. Yeah. Even with Shanice, what was that? 2006?
2006, yeah, and it was
Yeah.
just like
So I'm
once
like, yeah,
again
I
like
was
the music, so yeah,
like, yeah.
yeah.
So you're right. You're
No,
absolutely right, and I agree.
like we said, if Robert had popped up with the Hawaiian shirt and the blue
Ah,
jeans, I would have been like, man, that's 2005, Robert. That's
oh
2006.
man, yo, yeah, that. Oof, oof, what a
Yeah.
time to be alive, folks.
Mm.
Yikes. Yeah. But yeah, no, I enjoyed the doc.
Mhm.
I loved them this episode. Um, the thing that got to me is that two of my faves,
Mhm.
Doc and LaDonna, I had to side eye both of them this episode. So
Okay.
the Doc, I was like, nigga, are you Reed Richards? Like, what are you doing? I was like, okay, I get what they were doing and it makes
Right.
sense. I'm not mad at the show, but I was like, yo, you wild. Like that scene with him and with the Doc and Mildred, I was like,
Yeah.
bruh, she is
Hmm.
screaming. this
Right.
this girl is going through hell and back, and it's like I don't know. I was side eyeing Doc like,
That, yeah, and that was that even with her, because we'll get to her
yeah,
and
Hayward, Hayden,
Hayward.
Hayden.
Hayden,
Oh
yeah.
Lord,
No, you're fine. You're fine. And
do
the
I
funny
even
thing
watch?
is, he's Reed Richards, but I think he's like Ultimate Comics Reed Richards.
Yes,
Because
yes.
like Reed in the Ultimate Comics,
Hey,
that kid went sideways, or that teenager went
hey,
sideways.
hey.
Um, but shout out to Ultimate Comics.
Rest
Yeah,
in
Ultimate
peace.
Marvel. But yeah, they that's what I was saying. Like it was the obsessiveness, and then like he took
Hmm.
it further than with Jarrell. But the thing that got me about her was when he tried to get her pulse, he
Yeah.
did it twice. And the thing is like I think any physician will tell you that if you do something, and I would hope that a physician would do this. Like if you touch somebody, or if you're trying to do something and
Hmm.
they don't like it, you don't
Hmm.
continue to do that,
Yo.
because I think that you're trying to build up a rapport, or like,
Hmm.
and like I said, this is from me without a
Hmm.
degree in medicine, barely got out of college biology.
Ah,
But I think it's one of
yo.
those things where you want to help the person, but
Hmm.
if you reach in the first time and she flinches like that, just say, okay, let's come back to this.
Yeah.
Maybe we can build up. But he was like, second time. And it's just
Right,
like
bro.
damn.
She
Yeah.
is in pain.
Right.
Yeah. That was
Yeah.
oh, damn
It
it, Doc.
was that was crazy. So I want to talk a little bit
Come on.
about they call it project reintegration. I call it project procrastination.
Come on.
That
I'm pissed.
is
Come on. Come on.
and with what happens at the end of this episode, they're gonna stay in this hotel. They're about to stay in the hotel.
Ah,
Um, and I just say project procrastination because I'm ready for them to get out. And it was like,
bro.
but when you hear the reason for why they wanted these people to just like fuck up, like just be like on, like have it, I don't know, somebody within um a vicinity of a camera phone, and then
Yeah.
I guess like just lose it, lose their shit. But rundown, they choose the four that they choose: LaDonna, Shanice, Claudette, and Reverend Johnson.
Hmm.
Um, and Jessica,
Ugh.
the Fed, the liaison,
Ugh.
says admits like we were fine with letting the problem people out, because we wanted them to mess up and that's why at the beginning they actually was done really well. The whole
Hmm.
thing about letting them out for a couple of days, I mean for like a
Hmm.
day,
Yeah.
um, because I was confused at the beginning. I was like, why the fuck are you sending them out for just like a day trip?
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Right. And so, that was a big reveal. But for me, it's the whole thing of I I want them to get out of this hotel so bad.
You and me both. Like, God.
Yeah. And it was what I'm thinking, and I don't want to keep comparing this, but how long were they in the intact facility?
Not for that long. No,
Yeah.
I think it may be episode 7, and maybe I'll actually actively go back and find it.
Yeah.
But they weren't in intact. Now Maya was by
Yeah.
herself.
Right. Maya was in there. Yeah, she was by herself until she got adopted.
Yo,
I don't think it was even 7 episodes, right?
yeah, it had to
Like
be sooner.
it
Like,
was yeah. Like they and the way that they got around it in the original was like some, I know, not a civil rights group, but like nonprofit, like the ACLU had
yeah,
went to, taking it to the to like a federal district court and
yeah.
sued to get them out, and it's just like ain't nobody caring for these people.
Uh, I'm saying, especially when you said at the top of the episode, well, the first episode, some of
Yeah.
these people have been missing for years. So like,
Hmm.
I understand if my, I don't know, brother went missing. If I don't know he's returned, I'm not looking
Right.
for him, sure. But like, come on, show. We can't stay in this hotel forever.
Right. And it just makes me, it just, I don't know, like that's it. I just called it project procrastination, but it seems as if one of the things that I was thinking was the reason that these four were released was maybe the government knew about their abilities, but then you find out later on that that's not the case. Like Jessica's like, no, we just wanted two of them to mess up because because they're the most vocal about what's going on.
Oh my
So
God.
it was, and I guess the other thing, and then like I said, we only have so much time. I wanted to start seeing some of the people from the other facilities
Yeah. Okay.
because
Hold up.
yeah.
Where is Carla Coretta? What's that white lady from last episode?
She not this episode.
And so,
Yeah,
just like what you just said, where are
yeah.
the people in the other facilities? Because where is she?
Hmm. Right, right. I have no idea. She
She's
just
a
popped
plant.
up for. She
She a
was there for
plant.
the birthday.
She a
The
plant, fam.
She a plant. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, well, we saw the trailer for next week.
Oh, I
So
didn't because I
now,
watched on the app. But go ahead.
okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. So one of the things, there, I don't. Next week we're going to see um, more of the government's involvement.
Okay.
The federal, yeah. So the feds, there's a bunch of stuff that happens. I won't ruin it, but
Mm,
that was one thing that I was hoping we get closer to based on what Jarrell's former
yeah, Carla.
girlfriend says,
Mm,
Carla, where she's like, we've been locally, we want to help these people, but it's they're getting orders from on high, or they're not getting a lot of information,
yeah.
which is making me wonder like what could be going on. So when you see the trailer, you'll see what I mean. So I think
Okay.
maybe having them all confined to this one spot serves a larger purpose. But so
Budget.
the budget is one thing, but I think story wise, they're just kind of maybe concerned about what might happen. So I don't know. These are ideas that I'm tossing out,
Okay,
but
okay.
but they're definitely diverging from where the other
Yeah,
series went. They're
yeah.
not going out and investigating, homicidal 4400s, or they're
Gotta get
not
that
going
neighborhood
out
back.
to dealing with I want a safe neighborhood,
Yo.
before that type of thing. So it's like keeping it all within this.
Yeah.
It's not like an X Files.
Hmm.
4400 of the week, or I remember Smallville. Shout out
Right.
to people. It was always the freak of the week. People would always complain. It's like, oh, he's just fighting all these people, and I was just like, what the fuck you want him to do? Lift
Yeah.
bales of hay? Um, you gotta do something. It's a Superman show, but
Yes.
I can see on how that could get old really quick. But yeah, the format has changed.
Yeah.
Definitely. The more they stay in this hotel. So, what
Hmm.
was another thing that stood out to you about the episode?
Um. Okay. I'm gonna get close to the issue, but back. Ladonna and the doc. Ladonna being at the library
Hmm.
and using her powers. It was mentioned before, like, Mildred got a handle on them powers good. She was lifting the
Yeah.
dock in the air,
Yeah.
but I think Ladonna, let's not overlook the fact that she did this once, and once she realized what she was
Hmm.
doing, it's like it's been natural. You change
Yeah.
library books to fashion magazines, which I'm thinking, and this may be me with my nerd brain and overactive imagination, but it has to be more than just changing the image, because if you're checking out books at a library, they're going to scan them books. If you're checking out medical journals and
Hmm.
disguise them as fashion magazines, either you have enough power to physically change the constitution or the properties of these books so that
Hmm.
even in the system they pop up differently, or you are like working on Jarrell and the librarian's mind like at once, because they're like, again, I could just be nerding out and like going full geek, but
Hmm.
I'm like, she changed those textbooks into fashion magazines and was able to alter them for an actual system. You don't just walk out of the library with a book. You have to
Right.
check them out. So I don't know. I was impressed by her powers this episode.
Yeah. She I do like the fact that we aren't having like it's like the montage. How do you use your
Hmm.
abilities?
Yeah.
And they're just like, we ain't got time for that.
Yeah.
We got
Yeah.
like 10 episodes to tell the story, and
Hmm.
she's gonna get it after the second or third try.
Yeah.
I think her thing for me is leaning more towards like altering. I don't want to say altering reality, but like like you said, the perception, like
Hmm.
what you were mentioning. Because most of the this is we're getting really into the weeds of library books. Barcodes. Most
Yeah.
library books now have barcodes,
Yeah.
and at the place where I check out up here, when I'm checking out my books, you just put the book under, and sometimes you don't even see it. You put the
Mm.
book under a scanner, and then that's that. So yeah, she's getting very intricate with her abilities,
Hey.
which I think is really, really, really cool to see. The other person, as far as abilities, that I wanted to mention was let me get this boy's name right.
Come on.
Hey, is it Hayden?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Amar
Hayden.
something.
For some
Yeah.
reason, I kept calling him Hendry. Like, where the fuck did that? Anyways, Hayden. But he, the moment where the doc was, he was talking with him, and we now we're learning more about Hayden not liking. He said poke, prodded, or strapped down, and I was like, oh god.
Yeah.
So that when he was talking to the doctor, he had that I guess premonition,
Yeah.
or he was telling the future. And the way they had him do it, he just sat there and it just happened. It wasn't like something that was like, let's go inside of his mind and
Yeah.
show the scene that you're going to see obviously later on. And
Hmm.
um, I actually appreciated that,
Yeah.
because every time he did it with Maya, she would just be like,
bro.
You're gonna die. Yeah, it just like it was always something like heavily dramatic. I mean, like
Yes,
dramatized. And
yes.
with him, it's just he's sitting there, and maybe it's something that they will kind of flesh out in the future, where we do kind of see his future
Hmm.
premonitions. But I didn't mind the fact that it just hit him all of a
Yeah,
sudden.
yeah.
Um, so I actually appreciated that.
Hmm.
But
Now,
yeah, he's his character is becoming interesting.
yeah, and violent. So
Thank
let's
you.
let's get that out to it because that motherfucker. I was like, I tweeted, I think I tweeted like Hayden has a good 35, 40 pounds on the doctor.
Yep.
You
Hmm.
cannot be playing like this, man.
Yeah.
And you're still a kid. Like, I mean, he's like a teenager, but like you're not a fully grown adult yet. And you are when he pushed the doctor, I was like,
Yeah.
okay, you were another fave. Then I'm like, oh
It
yeah.
made me. I was actually like, no, don't do that. I mean, the doc, he kind of fucked up. He was like, he said, let me check your pulse twice. But and then,
Yeah.
but I can understand it's like this whole
Hmm.
teen angst type of thing. But
Yeah.
we haven't really dug much into what his background is. Um,
So,
as far as with Hayden, and
right.
because remember we last episode we were sitting here trying to figure out when did they mention his abilities, and I think
Yo.
maybe like we missed it. But then the other thing, like I said, it's a lot of details, and
Yeah.
I'm older, so I hit 40 next year, so
Yo.
my memory's not what it used to be. But the other thing
Hey.
is, I think they've had more screen time with
Hmm.
all of the other characters.
Yeah.
So I'm liking that they're kind of building, and especially like I said with that comment where he said, "Poke prodded or strapped down." I
Hmm.
was just like, "What the fuck was happening with this
Yeah.
kid in the
91
package?"
years ago. Well, 80 something because he had to be like maybe 10. But like,
Right.
yeah. What the hell is going on?
Yeah. So it just it's crazy, but yeah, we just know straight up like he don't like doctors.
Mm-mm.
He will knock him up. He will knock you
Mm-mm.
out.
Hey,
He-
he don't play about his. Mildred is not to be fucked with.
yeah.
And I like that. And again, I mean there is that whole LaDonna like will they won't they when
Hmm.
she said to him y'all are are they going to be together. That
Hmm.
cool, but I think even if you went the route of Hayden and Mildred just being friends, even
Hmm.
that feels like the same sense of urgency and intensity, which like
Hmm.
my friend is gone, like all you adults running around trying to solve crimes and stuff, and I just have this regular person who I can hang out with, and now
Right.
she's gone because of some stuff that you didn't did. So
Right.
yeah, I'm with it. I'm with it.
All the adults just messing up.
Yeah.
The I don't want to say the MVP. What's the opposite of the MVP? The bench rider for this episode.
Towel
Um,
boy, I don't know.
yeah, it's gonna have to be Jessica. The just like you said, Doctor, you were
Yeah.
side eyeing Doctor Andre, and you said Ladonna,
LaDonna,
and
yeah.
and I want you to definitely kind of give us some more information about
Oh, LaDonna,
Ladonna,
yeah.
but for Jessica, we have already established that she is the
Terrible.
foot soldier for, you said terrible.
Yeah.
She's the foot soldier for the feds. Like that's
Yes.
who she is. And Kanisha is like, now she's, you have the Jedi, you have I know people are gonna jump down my throat. He's like, yo, shut up. There's Star Trek behind you, not Star Wars. Um, you have the light side, the dark side, and then you have the gray Jedi, right?
Mm.
There's a such a thing as gray Jedi. I think Kanisha's like in that gray area somewhere. So she's not completely you're not convinced.
I mean, I liked her more this episode than I have
Okay.
the
Okay.
entire season so far.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah.
I just, I
She
just
still hasn't made that.
like as a black woman, I get doing your job and being
Hmm.
thorough, and you ain't finna let these time travelers mess up your stuff. But like also, come on, sis, 4,400 people got
Yeah.
together to lie to you. I don't know. I don't know.
I can, yeah, and I can see it. Like she's starting. I see her as kind of starting to come around, but then you
Hmm.
do have the scenes where she was just like, maybe y'all should be drinking water, and
Oh,
they was just like, we grown as fuck,
and we got
just
one
like
day,
right,
bro. What?
like we didn't ask you to take us to like the the corner store and just like stock up on,
Yo.
Ian. I was gonna say Ian J. Anyways, but I'm dumb. I'm sorry. Anyway, so Jessica, I think this episode they really leaned into her just being just like the opposite. There was one part where she was talking about Soraya. I think it was
Hmm.
Soraya
Yeah.
getting arrested, and she was like, "That's one less thing on my list." It was just like, God.
Yeah. You
There
saw.
was it was a meeting. I had one on here where it was like the meeting from earlier when she was talking about just kind of the general vibe and the mood where she was they were talking about the leak,
Hmm.
and she just kind of shrugged it off. She was like, that ain't gonna be no big thing, and those people aren't being mistreated and they're just exaggerating. And then the last thing was the revelation where the reason they chose the four that they did was so
Hmm.
that two of them could possibly like mess up. So this episode in particular really kind of played up her as being the antagonist, and
Hmm.
I know we've had examples of it, but those three moments just kind of stood out to me, and I was just like, damn, this is
Yeah.
uh this is
Yeah.
major. So
Yes. Systemic issues there, and it is the same in this. And you know what? I'm not even gonna like caveat this at all. Her actions feel a lot like the actions that are taken against black bodies, even as young as middle school. It's like you are doing these things with this expectation that these people aren't good people, that
mm,
these folks are bad people, that these little black kids are just going to fuck up eventually, then you'll be
mm,
vindicated or you'll be celebrated for them punishing them. You've already put them in a situation where I understand both sides need to be safe and you
mm,
are the ones in control. So there is a part of me that's like, of course they have to be at this hotel. Like we need to figure out what's what. But there's also this part where why can't they play a piano?
yeah,
Why are you pushing this young boy into face into a chair? You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like there's certain things that like you have to, even as a prisoner, even somebody in jail, they may have committed a crime, but if you're going to offer them food, don't put glass in it. Like it's like little things that you can do
oh,
to not be
whoa,
a terrible person. So it's just like, fam, we're not even
yeah,
saying that, which I'm kind of saying y'all wrong, but even if we're looking at the real world ramifications of the 4400, I understand that you want to figure out what's going on. But
yeah,
like the shitty way that you guys are handling the situation, the terrible way in which you're treating these people, and you're reintroducing these people to society after abusing them physically and emotionally for I don't know how long. What they've been here, maybe a month or maybe 2 weeks or something like that.
yeah. It's getting close to a month. I would give or take.
And it's just like you. I'm not going to be like, oh well, it's just what the government has to do because there are maximum security prisons, there are minimum
Hmm.
security prisons. So the very
Right.
fact that there are, as an American, different degrees of prison, you can treat these people with a little bit more respect than what you have. And to be like, oh yeah, we're gonna send the troublemakers out there. What did you expect them to do? Burn down this old lady's house? Like, what did you
Exactly.
expect them
Like,
to do? And I was just like, yeah, she, she is a CEO at every company where you don't
hmm,
know what the hell is going down in the on the ground level. You just know that the numbers, because that's all you're looking at, say one thing. So this needs to change or this needs to happen with no regard for how it's affecting the people beneath you. And I'm so sick and tired of her.
yeah,
And the show I think did a good job at setting her up to be this hated person where I don't think it needs to be said, but I don't hate the actress. I hate that character.
right,
But yeah, she's just such a terrible person. And I like that Keisha is having to come to terms with like, who am I romantically attached to?
right.
Like, because if you're doing this with me, what did you do before the 4400 that I maybe don't even know about? So
Yeah, because and I think that's we had last week there was the argument where or the week before where they slept in separate apartments or whatever.
mhm.
So they had the argument. Shout out to Wilder Yari.
Mhm.
You're killing that. You're killing that role. Yeah, it's been interesting.
Yeah.
I just felt like this was this was her breakout episode, I guess, if you want to put it
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, for sure.
Um, which is weird.
Mhm.
The so let's what about LaDonna? Like, what's that? Why
Okay, so I
the
was
side
mad at
eye?
her, but
Mhm.
I don't know yet. I think my anger or my disdain or whatever may be misplaced.
Okay.
So she went through Soraya's computer, got the
Hmm.
stuff or whatever, and got the footage put out there in the world, and she got Soraya inadvertently got her
Arrested.
not even fired, arrested, but like not fired, but like yeah, arrested and whatever else.
Hmm.
And so I was watching it, and I think that I was so high off the idea that oh, this show is good. Look what they're doing. Then the Soraya thing caught me in left field. I was like, oh, so LaDonna don't care that she that got this girl lost her job. This was your stand. This is your fan. And then I was like, maybe she doesn't know that this woman was arrested.
I don't think they
So
know. Yeah.
and and
Yeah.
then also I also have to like look at myself like even if she does know like not to be funny, I love Soraya, but so what? You are part of the team
God.
of captors. You are part of the people that have us here. So like, but also there was an ally that could have helped you. So I'm very
Yeah.
conflicted. I'm very conflicted. So that's why I'm mad at Ladonna.
Mhm.
I don't know how I feel.
It's a lot of confusion. No, they
Yeah,
I feel that I don't think they know.
yeah,
And even the whole thing of because I don't any they didn't unless it's one of those things where unless they say it to them directly
yeah.
and say like, hey, we this there was a leak and
Hmm.
unless we have a scene or unless somebody says off something that happened off camera, like, hey, you remember
Yeah.
you heard about the leak, then there's no suggestion that they know.
Hmm. Hmm.
Versus some shows where they like should be happening off screen and we
Yeah.
never mind. But anyways, I'm gonna sidetrack. But so I don't think that they know, and I think that if Ladonna did learn about it, maybe
She
she
gonna be
would
sad.
care. But
Yeah, I think
maybe
she would.
yeah, yeah. So we'll see. But I don't I really hope they didn't add Soraya to the show,
Just to,
and it just to like
bro, I'm gonna be
take her,
so mad.
yeah, have her get fired or arrested or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna be mad if they did.
Yeah, I'm like, that's our Marco. We need Marco.
Yes, yes,
Um, it was crazy, but the other thing I liked about this episode was pairing up some of the characters.
yes.
And
You
this is
doing
something I called, I wouldn't say Cole's crazy predictions, but I'm gonna
it?
call Robert's radical thoughts, RRT,
Okay.
Robert's radical thoughts. But I mentioned I wanted to see LaDonna and the Reverend paired up,
Yep, you did.
a few episodes ago, and they
You
were like,
did.
Robert, you ask and you shall get.
Yep.
Um, and it's cool because you see a difference in personality
Hmm.
types. Claudette and Shanice, they're like, we don't feel like dealing with this. They go out the back door. And then LaDonna and the Rev come out, and then like the Rev is like, "Oh, this will be great," and
Yes.
then LaDonna is like, "That's my impersonation." Um,
That's so spot on, though. That's him. Yo.
I have
Yeah.
I have no son.
Oh.
So we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that because both of us have thoughts. And then LaDonna is like, that's our element. It's part of
Yeah.
our element. So they
Hmm.
go out the front door. So I like that they paired them up as far as personalities.
Hmm.
Because I want to see them kind of grow.
Hmm.
Because and they also have kind of the same, similar backgrounds. LaDonna, they
Hmm.
both have problematic parents. I mean, we saw
Yep.
that, dude's father turned his death into like a new wing of
Yeah.
the of the church. So,
Yeah.
and LaDonna's mother was problematic in the
Damn.
flashback. So they're they're doing good. I like it. I mean, I liked it.
Hmm.
So that was something that kind of jumped out at me that we got these two interacting.
Hmm.
Um, Anything else, like episode
I
wise?
wanted more. I wanted more between the
Yeah.
two of them. I like what we got. I understand it's a multi-character cast, and so it's
Mhm.
you have to juggle that. I think the time we spent with Carla and Jarrell, although it was, good for the
Mhm.
plot,
Yeah.
in the library, we could have cut that in half and got more of LaDonna and the Reverend,
Yeah.
and then just got all the park bench stuff with Jarrell and Carla later. But I mean,
Yeah.
we got, and I'm happy for it. But I do wish, because they were separated from the rest of the group, we would have gotten more of LaDonna and the Reverend.
Mhm.
Um, because I feel like it's a missed opportunity that might come up later, where, like you said before, you wanted to see them paired together, and they're both part of this quote unquote black royal
Yeah.
status to some
Mhm.
extent from the mega church side and also from the reality TV show side. So I just
Mhm.
wanted a little bit more of them together. But I
Yeah.
did like what we got. I thought it was good. I thought it was really good.
Yeah. They it's interesting that and one of the things you do want to see with like a multi crew, a multi cast or whatever, like a bunch of
Yeah.
people, um, is the different interactions. Like I was happy to see Claudette talking to Hayden later
Yes.
with the flowers because
Yes.
they could have brought your favorite actress back. They could have brought like the
Girl,
random.
I'm sick of that lady. I'm so tired of her.
She shows up with the flowers. She's like, "Hey, Hayden, I've been here the whole time, the whole time."
Yo.
Yeah, but you want to see that. You always feel that shows that rely on large cast can be supported in a really good way, or they can
Mhm.
excel. When you have good, great character interactions. I mean, one of
Yep.
the things we always, kind of the more recent go to I think about is something like Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I sometimes I was very hyped to see like one character see the other character, or
Hmm.
come across, and we talk about something like Endgame, where you
Yeah.
have all these characters that had never
Hmm.
seen each other before,
Hmm.
and linking up. So I think they could probably do well with having more pairings like this.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
You know,
I like to see it.
um, there was the other thing that it kind of stuck with me was let's just go ahead and go into it. Reverend
Oh,
Johnson.
yeah.
So that big reveal of, first of all, finding out that his father had was profiting off of his quote unquote death, but
Hmm.
then um, him learning more about his son,
Yeah.
with the podcast. So I'm gonna let me give you give your thoughts first.
Oh
Go
God.
ahead.
So the Reverend getting a 404 error as he looks up something on the internet was the best thing to me. Not even like my disdain for the character, but just that
Yeah,
somebody from
yeah.
the 90s who is like just learning about computers. Now you see this shit and it's like, what is this? So I like that.
Hmm.
I think the show did a good job with hitting all the a lot of points that would get you riled up or get you emotional, either way, however you fall on
Yep.
this argument. I don't like this route for him.
Hmm.
So my initial thought, so what happens is the Reverend looks up himself, he looks up his old church, he sees that his dad profited off of his quote unquote death, and then we go a step further. It's like you go down the rabbit hole and you see that there is a podcast and maybe in a book it
I
looks
think a
like
book.
that
Yeah, it was
there's
a
a
book and a
tell-all
podcast.
about the Johnston family and them having conversion therapy, and it's this guy named Quincy, um and it's the Rev Johnston's son, who
Hmm.
is, from what we gather, queer. I don't even want to say what, because when I first heard his voice, I was like, "Is that B. Scott?" But I don't think this show would have B. Scott in the cast. We would know that.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't know if the person is just queer, if they're trans or non-binary or
Right.
what. I'm just going to say queer to blanket everything until we find out more. But I was thinking like conversion therapy, but then also this is the 90s. So my initial thought was like, I don't like this for this character. This is not just because I'm not a fan of Reverend. I like the
Yeah.
actor. I think he's doing what he needs to do. I'm not a fan of the character, but this felt like the wrong. It felt. This is the first time watching the show. I was like, is this really the right
Way to go with him.
decision? Yeah,
Yeah.
like to go. Now, after sitting on it, I still feel that way about 80%, but then I'm also like, I grew up in the 90s as well. So, though I wasn't part of some mega church, I could see these views being shared about, by men who are in their 20s and 30s in the 90s. So, I'm not that far removed from thinking these ideals would be accurate
Hmm.
through a character like the Rev. It just, even with that in mind, it still doesn't feel like I'm going to have to see where they go with this.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately, he disowns his son before even meeting him. He plays a podcast on, I don't know what podcast service that was, but there's a podcast about, I don't know if it's the Quincy's podcast or if he's being
Mm-hmm.
interviewed about his book, but he's pretty
Yeah.
much talking about they was doing conversion therapy. I don't associate with that family. F them. Quincy doesn't even have the Johnston last name.
Yeah.
You already know I'm Team Quincy. I ain't even seen this man, but all that being said, I would be interested to see how they delve into this story with Quincy and his flashbacks and the Johnston family. But that reaction from the Rev, I understand we've progressed since the 90s, and there are certain things and labels and things that weren't in circulation back then. But for some reason, that still feels. I think for me, the thing that would make more sense is if he didn't say I don't have no son, is if he didn't accept that that was his son. He'd be like, well, no, you know, maybe I gotta meet him. I gotta see him. Like, if you
Mm-hmm.
ultimately end up like, oh, I have no son, I don't like gay people, sure, whatever. But it
Mm-hmm.
something about that felt off, and it wasn't the acting because I feel like what's his name, Andre? No, what is the actor's name? Derek A. King. I think he did a good job with his role. I
Mm-hmm.
think the lines were delivered well. Like the actual acting was fine, but there's something that feels off about that being the direction you're going with him, even if you're giving him this redemption arc of ultimately he accepts his son, which is like, I don't know. And maybe I'm biased, maybe I'm too close to it,
All right.
but I was like, this don't feel, this is the first time I thoroughly, not hate it, but of a decision felt like, what the heck, like devoid from the rest of the show. But I don't
Yeah.
know. That's just me.
Yeah.
So I'll let what's your thoughts on it?
So the first thing I remember was when they went to Belle Island. He said, I ain't, they're not a part of my life.
Yeah.
He said that about the mother of his child
Hmm.
and his son. So his interest in looking up his son, and maybe
Yes.
like you said, it was one of those rabbit hole type of things because like you'll be like, oh, guess what? I'm looking for movie tickets for the Eternals, and then
Hmm.
further down the road is like I can make Skittles ice cream, that type of shit.
Yeah.
It just sometimes it happens, but
Hmm.
um, and also maybe he didn't know how to use the internet. But I think it is significant that he they had this happen,
Hmm.
or that he, because I thought they had mentioned even in this earlier in this episode that somebody did ask him about looking
LaDonna.
into his family.
Oh,
Yeah,
I don't.
yeah.
Well,
Maybe
she
it
asked
wasn't
after they left after they
after
fly
they
there.
left. No, that was Claude. It was Claudette. Claudette was the one that asked him on the stairs
And he
about
said, "I
his
have no
son.
son." Okay, okay.
Yeah, so that
Damn.
was like when he said, "I have no son" or
Oh,
whatever. So
damn.
there, so that was the thing. So it was for me. It was kind of weird because I'm like, you've already established that it's God's plan for you to help the 4400. You
Hmm.
you said fuck him. So that at that point, that kind of is like, okay, that's this. I don't know what kind of dude this is. That's the route
Yeah.
that they're going. But it seems like, okay, well, now I'm going to learn about my son. But maybe it was just the accident thing. So that's what I'm chalking it up to be.
Mm.
But the the thing is, trying to think of the right way to say this. They're
Yo.
homophobes.
Yeah.
They're homophobes, and they're
Yes.
transphobic people, and there's a lot of them in the Black community. I mean, just it
Hmm.
just is. So it's one of the things where, and it's a lot of it, and a lot of it is wrapped in religion and faith.
Yeah.
So we have the son of a um, evangelist, and I'm not saying every evangelist, preacher, or family
Right. Right.
kind of leans this way, but one of the things that I was wondering was, with such a focus on
Well.
LGBTQ issues, are we going to deal with the other side of that? Obviously,
Hmm.
we kind of have, and
Hmm.
now we don't know if that guy, if the guard threw Noah into the chair for being trans.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where the question is in the back of your head. But that was one of the things that I felt that, like, the opposite, like everybody ain't gonna be hunky dory. It's just
Right, right.
that's and it's unfortunate. It's just
Mm-hmm.
like, let people live their lives. But with him specifically, when he sat there and he cried, I was like, the single tear. I thought he did cry the single tear, right?
I
Um,
think so.
yeah, he did the
Yeah, because he
single
was like,
tear.
yeah, he tried to
Yeah,
clean it up
he tried to clean it up.
when
Yeah,
Jarrell came by.
so
Yeah.
but we don't know. And like I said, I'm not saying immediately that they're trying to label him as being
Mm-hmm.
homophobic or whatever, but we're not like, you know, supporting his son. But it's something that I'm just like, okay, this is an interesting way to go,
Yeah.
with the story. So um and when he flat out said, he's like, I have no son. I'm like, you said that 2 episodes ago.
Hey,
So like you've already said that. Like
several
we
times.
yeah, like we that's like you repeating something to somebody like, clean the floor, clean the
Yeah.
floor, clean the
Like
floor. You've told
I
me like
will.
three fucking
Yes.
times I'm gonna clean the floor. And you said like 2 or 3 times, he's like, I ain't got no son. I ain't got no son. I ain't got no son.
It's just
Do you
like,
do you have a son? No, I don't have one. So um that's kind of where
yo,
I was confused. I was a
yeah.
little confused because like we've already kind of tread this ground, but I do like that they are um and then also the discussion of conversion. Now, like that's a church that it believes in that shit. And it's just like, okay, that's problematic in
Hey,
and of itself.
hey.
So so it's like I want to see where they're going to take his character, because I think that you give yourself a discussion to talk about that issue within specifically the black
Mm-hmm.
family, and especially a black family of faith. So
Yeah.
that that is um as like I said, black folks ain't monolithic. I mean, you have some black atheists, you have some, a lot of black Christians. It's just different. So it's one
Yeah.
of those things where I was like, okay, let's see what the next episode brings. And when you see the trailer for the next episode, you'll
Mm-hmm.
see what I mean by that.
Okay.
So um, I
Mm,
don't know. I
yeah.
don't know. This is one of the first times during the show where I say I don't know. Because I don't. Like.
Yeah. I think for me, and I didn't think we would get to this point, but again, reshaping the show, if we had have only mentioned that he had a family and that was it, and this was the first time he said I don't have a son, maybe that would have landed a little bit better for me. And by all means, don't think that I feel like because I'm a part of affiliated with this community, everybody gotta love these niggas. I don't care. It's just
Mhm,
this character in particular, it I ain't gonna say it didn't feel earned, it felt odd. And
mhm,
now even more that I sit with it, it feels dangerous because of Noah. Noah has expressed that Noah is a trans character on the
mhm.
show. This is somebody who the Reverend has promised these things to. Like,
Yep.
I'm going to make sure we're okay. I don't know if the Reverend has an awareness of transness in the way that Noah presents, because it's one thing to
Mhm,
look at any 90s TV show and see a trans person as the either dead sexual deviant or the comic relief. It's a
mhm,
whole nother thing to see a trans person in 2021 and the way they're depicted. So I'm wondering if that is going to roll over to Noah. Another thing I'm concerned about, and not really concerned, but Doc's handling of Noah's sensitive information. Like when Noah come back,
mhm.
like no,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, son. Like you are dealing with, like so
Yeah.
so that gives me pause as well. And I'm not sure if the show, which I don't know how they could not see that, but I'm wondering how the Reverend will interact with Noah with this new revelation of how he
Mhm.
feels about his son. And yeah, so we're back to
Yeah.
square one. I don't know.
We'll see. It's interesting. Their development.
Hmm.
Um, so hopefully they'll handle it in such a way that it makes sense, and whatever route they take him,
Yeah.
it's like one of those things where protagonist, antagonist in a piece of work, you
Hmm.
gotta, you love them, you hate them, but you gotta make it make sense.
Yes, that's
And
it.
that's kind of the biggest thing. You got to make it
Hmm.
make sense, no matter what side of this they're on.
Yeah.
Now, and you can definitely agree or disagree. Degree. There's that. If they go the route of making him like, I can't support you because you're a part of this community.
Yeah.
That um we're not going to agree with it,
Hmm.
the
But
direction,
commit.
but
Shit.
yeah, you got to commit to that shit. That's what y'all have done. I
Yeah.
mean, shit, the cartoon racist, committed to that, and thank God for him not being in this episode.
Yo.
Nothing against the actor, but it was just like we need a breather from
Yes. God.
him like
Yo.
hovering over black people.
Yeah.
Um, there The other thing that when I think it was Shanice and Claudette
Hmm.
went to see
Miss Grover.
Miss Grover,
Hmm.
I don't know if they should have told about the abilities. I'm sorry.
Bro.
I know she
Bro.
got a connection with this woman,
Bro.
but I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I just time traveled and I got abilities. Like, I don't, that's not what I'm leading with. It's just
No.
like, I think, and that might be my paranoia just like for real
No.
life,
Same page. Same page.
like my wife is the only one that's gonna know about that until like, oh shit,
Right.
Robert was flying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I had to pick up groceries and I didn't want to walk. Um, the most mundane superhero ever. What were your
Yo.
thoughts about them like
I
revealing?
hated it. I'm with Claudette. I realized Claudette. I'm literally like, if and I'm not even being funny because I like the character, but like everything she does, I'm either saying it right before she does it, or
Hmm.
I'm like in 100% agreement with her. Then that is uh J Lady Official. I'm not sure of her the actress' actual name. That's her Twitter handle. Bruh, when she looked at Shanice like, what the fuck are you? And for me,
Hmm.
my issue with it was that you're not just telling your business, you are
Right,
impacting all of us.
everybody.
Um, it felt weird. I know
Uh,
you're comfortable, you're with your, it's family, you're back after all this time, but I was just like, bruh, let's talk about like Miss Grover's speech about like Barack Obama and
hmm.
Beyonce and Black
Yeah.
excellence. Like that was a little heavy handed, but I would much rather see that because I feel like that makes more sense because one,
Hmm.
you're explaining history to not only your like surrogate niece, daughter, but also a woman who's much older than you.
Yeah.
And so I was like, her ability being displayed should have been an accident. I
Hmm.
don't think Shanice should have told her. I think when them three were together, some kind of way Claudette should have broke her arm on accident or
Yeah.
something like that. I was like, Shanice, you are not making good decisions at all.
I mean, yeah, that was. I was just like, nah, because we know what the government can do. They
Yeah,
tap your phones, they'll,
it could bug
you
their
know,
house, man. Come
yeah,
on.
yeah, like it's just crazy. So yeah, I was just like, okay, a decision was made. Was it the best one? I don't know, but we'll we'll see in the future
No, that
because
was terrible.
like I don't want I don't want a scene of like them waterboarding Miss
Miss
Grover for like
Grover, yo.
information. Like we're
Oh,
waterboarding you with tea. I was like,
yeah.
no, don't do that. I just like don't no. I don't want that
Yeah,
scene. But
yeah.
yeah, I think the other thing big scene that kind of stood out to me was um the okay, well, this is minor. Carla and Jarrell, talking, not
Hmm.
even relationship stuff, but where she admits that locally speaking, they wanted to help these people. They were
Yeah.
like, we wanted to, we've been trying to get them out of that old ass hotel. He's like, that's been on the corner for like 5 years, like 50
Mm,
years, abandoned
yo.
with
Yeah.
secret doors and shit. We'll get to that.
Uh,
But the but the feds are they know something and it's like they're being weird about it, and I'm just like, okay, so this is, once again, when you see the trailer you'll see what I mean. But we're moving forward, we're
mhm.
moving forward. So that I enjoyed that scene. Any thoughts about that or the two of them together?
I like Carla. I still don't know how I feel about her. Like I like the actress.
Hmm.
I like her, but I feel like her role at this point in the game could have
Hmm.
been occupied by someone else. Um, and I don't know what my kind of issue, for lack of a better term, I don't know what my issue is.
Hmm.
Um, her and Jarrell to me don't have a lot of chemistry. They do have some, but I don't
Hmm.
know. I don't know. It's something about her where I feel like either maybe they shouldn't have been had that love past, that relationship
Hmm.
past, or should have leaned a little bit more heavier into it. I don't know. But Carla herself, I like that. I like what they're doing with that character to like give me not only Jarrell, who's the social worker, and then Keisha, who's like the Fed. We also
Hmm.
have like the government, the governing body. So I do appreciate the her role, but
Right.
yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I don't really know how I feel about
Yeah,
her.
they're the other thing is just seeing like every other conversation they have, Jarrell just like um fucking up with just talking
Oh
to her.
yes.
And brother was just like, well, you a sellout. She's like, wait, what? I like my paycheck. Bye, broke. And then just like left. Like,
No,
um,
yeah.
yeah, so yeah, there I actually like her the more we get with her because
Mm,
like I think in the first episode she seemed to be more kind of towing
I
the
get it.
party line or the government
Yeah.
line, but it's like
Hmm.
locally they're just like, well, shit, we just Detroit, we want to help these people, and
Yeah.
then the feds are like, no, and just all this
Hmm.
stuff.
Yep.
Um, any kind of there, so there's a big scene, but like, did you any other thoughts that you have about the episode or
Uh,
anything major?
not. We're gonna get. Well, we're gonna do the Shanice and Doc thing. So not really. Well,
Okay.
Cynthia, I do want to mention I was a
Hmm.
fan of Cynthia from the start, and
Hmm.
because of the ending we got, um,
Yeah.
maybe, but I was a fan of Cynthia, and I had even tweeted, I wish they could have abducted the Doc and Cynthia right there. Cynthia is
Hmm.
the Doc's girlfriend from the 20s or whatever.
Right.
Um, Other thing I thought was, did the Doc cure COVID back in the 20s? Because this respiratory disease that he found a cure for, I'm like, was it asthma? But that's really all I
Um,
got.
what they called it was whooping cough, and whooping cough was um I'm trying to remember what the scientific name was for that. Oh, I'm not repeating that. Let's spell it out.
Ah,
Pertussis.
okay.
So okay, pertussis. So so he had a hand in curing that
Pertussis.
and helping his
Okay.
girlfriend. I really liked her. Like I said, the line that stood out to me was when she said, "Come back to me,"
Yeah.
because his mind was just like all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt that the actress did a really good job.
Yes.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and just killed it. It's just like everybody's always on this kick of like CW, like with the acting, and it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
they're not. These folks are bringing it,
Yeah,
in
I
this,
agree.
for the show. I mean, shit, we're not. let me stop. Um,
Yeah.
it's we're I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the
Mm-hmm.
choices that they've made. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, so the two big ones. We can talk about Shanice
Come on.
and Dr. Andre. Um,
Woo!
and him revealing to her his true self, and
Mm-hmm.
um through I think one of the most
Come on.
kind of, I would say, fascinating, but it's just like creative ways of doing that. Like, let me just show you,
Yes.
and instead of me fumbling, through words,
Mm-hmm.
because obviously, I almost got beat up by a child, and almost, and I sliced the other one up. So like talking really ain't what I'm doing
You
today.
almost got beat up by Shanice when you first met her. So, secretary.
Exactly.
So,
It's like it's too large of a big of a matter for a secretary. Um, they him showing
yo.
that he is trans, and I loved it. Like, it was one of
Mm-hmm.
those things where the only other show where I've seen this dealt with, and maybe there have been other shows, is 911 Austin. I think it's Austin, and there's a trans character in there who is a firefighter,
Mm-hmm.
and he was dating went out on a date with this woman, and when she found out, it just turned into, it wasn't the best. It just
Mm.
wasn't the best.
Mm.
And it was sad because I was like, I love this character, like, just
Mm.
like, you know, eh, cool dude, just like.
Mm-hmm.
But in this one, I was worried. I was like, don't
Yeah.
do that to my man, and
Mm-hmm.
especially with what y'all have been building up.
Yeah.
over the past episodes, which I felt worked. This was not forced,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it worked, um, and I loved it. Like I just
Hey.
I enjoyed it, and they had a kiss, right? If I remember,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, they had a kiss. So, um, what were your thoughts?
I'm two things. The
Hmm.
doc has a type. Though Cynthia and Shanice do not look alike, they are
Hmm.
compared to the doc. They have a certain fullness that I feel
Yeah,
like this one go for it.
yeah.
The other thing is, even before the reveal, and I tweeted this out, I absolutely love the way that they handled Shanice leading up to that, because
Hmm.
the doc told her all this stuff, I messed up, blah whatever, I've done this before, somebody I loved before, blah blah whatever. And Shanice got ready to hug him, which was very on brand. It made sense with the moment, and stopped
Hmm.
and was like, I don't want to touch you and risk um seeing something without your consent, without you knowing. And so, and though, again, nerd brain being critical, I was like, well, all of you people out there who write telepaths, think of this. This is a
Yeah,
good way in which
yeah.
to get that consent and show that concern and that care, where even if you
Hmm.
accidentally glean something, you can kind of walk it back, whatever. That's me being dramatic. But that moment I loved. And
Yeah.
immediately after we got the reveal, now I'm going to be honest, I am sick and tired of the doctor using Noah and telling Noah's business.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I am going into it with this. I'm actually giving more grace for that. When I mentioned this before, it was because the doctor needed a certain treatment for trans men that wasn't available, and so he
Hmm.
gave the prescription name to Jarrell and was like, "Okay, get me this. It's for Noah, such and such." And I made the comment like, "What is he doing?" And some girl on Twitter was like, "Well, HIPAA wasn't around back then." And though that was like a joke, and me and her laughed about it, I'm still of the mind that I, again, I'm not trans, so let me know
Hmm.
if I don't have the right to do this, but I'm
Yeah.
giving the doc a little bit more grace, because you are not maliciously giving
Hmm.
this information out, and it's very, and for the way the show has been set up, I think it makes sense. I still wish they had a did it a different way, because I feel like, to be like, I I feel like, I don't know. I feel like if the doctor had a been like, while talking to Noah, like, well, does that mean I'm trans or something like that, where you could
Hmm.
have had her see that and not
Yeah.
Noah's reveal. It's like Noah is having a lot of stuff happen to him.
Yeah.
Noah. So that's the only thing I didn't like. But I love the scene. I love the moment. I thought that was done well. And I
Hmm.
think if you're looking at a way to get things out, a lot of times when you're marginalized, and I'm speaking from personal experience, especially as a
Hmm.
child or new to certain like vocabulary, it may not always be easy to just say the word.
Yeah.
I am. You know what I'm saying? So I like
Yeah.
that aspect. But I was like, man, you did not have to use Noah's uh, reveal, but I did. Even still, I enjoyed
Mhm.
that, and I like them.
Yeah.
I don't know where this is going to go, but I like them. And now I'm a little concerned with the very end at what's going to happen now. So,
They're so in my mind, just to keep Noah's part of the flashback, not the flashback or um
Vision.
the vision, this may be a stupid. They just like blurred his face, like like those Dateline specials,
Yeah.
um whatever. That's me being dumb,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah.
So we get to the end.
Woo! Come on.
Because they are definitely doing the cliffhanger endings, for
Yeah.
each episode. Um, how you feel about him walking to the Batcave where Batwoman is,
So okay.
or
We
where the
need to
Pierces, where
discuss,
the base
right.
is?
Watch they both Jefferson gonna walk out. Like, you know my dad? No, fool. No. I think we need to discuss what that is because we may be of two different minds. I like it regardless, but what did you see that as?
Okay, I saw it as a whole. See, the other thing though is that they show a little bit more, and the reason I in the trailer for next
Oh,
week, and
dang.
that's the thing.
Okay. Well, I'll
All
tell
it
you what.
is,
I'll go ahead.
it's
No.
no. You go. You say what you're gonna
Okay.
say.
So
Yeah.
what I initially thought, without having seen the trailer for episode 5,
Hmm.
is because we saw the mouse rat that he was like
Yeah.
experimenting on.
Hmm.
Because that mouse popped up, I was like, okay. Doc was like, "Oh, did you get caught in the green light too?" And I was like, "But no, you motherfuckers have been here for at least 2 weeks.
Right.
If that mouse was caught up in the green light, it would be at Bill Isle. It wouldn't be at the hotel." So
Right.
my thought was the Doc's powers allow him to communicate with the past or bring things from his past into present day. And
Okay.
so my thought was he gonna fuck around and bring Cynthia into present day and then have to, figure out, do you gonna be with her, you gonna be with Shanice. But clearly you about to destroy my dreams.
No, I'm not about to destroy it because I mean
Ah,
the most that they show in the trailer is just a long hallway.
okay. Okay.
But the biggest thing that story summary or whatever, take it back, verse, like Missy Elliott. Anyways,
Yeah.
yeah, scripted in he finds a hidden passage or
Yeah.
wall in his lab slash bar,
Mhm.
and which I thought was interesting. But and the episode ends with him looking down it, and the, the first thing that came to mind was like, it's another reason for them to stay in this damn hotel. And I got like I got kind of frustrated because I'm looking for like any reason for them to leave the hotel.
Yo. No,
And
yeah.
but when he found it, I was like, well, okay, this they stay in the hotel.
We get it.
And it just so I mean it's a nice little teaser. I mean, cliffhanger for next week.
Yeah.
It'll bring you back. It's making me wonder what the connection now is of the hotel to, if there's going to be a connection to, between the hotel and the 4400,
Hmm.
and how this is going to force them to stay there, because even Jessica, being as like the conniving antagonist of this episode, straight up said,
Hmm.
well, they did good, so I mean, you get what you want, they're not going to stay here.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, now is the doctor going to want to leave? um
Hey, maybe not.
so yes, I that was, but there was nothing really spoilery
Okay.
outside of just this.
Ugh.
They showed the hallway, and the reason I was thinking about Black Lightning was because of the underground areas
Yeah.
between underneath Freeland,
The
which
Underground Railroad.
ran from Atlanta to Tennessee,
Central City?
Memphis,
Oh.
nah, whatever. Nah, we don't get. They don't do that. They don't fly the
Yeah.
actors down for that shit. They
Oh
just,
no.
we get like a red light, and it's like, oh, the Flash was here. You didn't see him? It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
no, I did not see that man. No.
Central City.
Oh man.
So
Okay. Well, I still hope I'm right because
I
that'd
mean,
be a messed up love triangle.
you could be. I mean, like I said, you could be. They we'll see. Like I said, we'll because it's not following the same model or the the plot lines as the original
Hmm.
one. So this it's kind of up for grabs at this point.
Yeah.
So
Whew, boy.
yeah.
Yeah, this is something. This is something. I'm excited for what we got.
Hmm.
Um, and whatever comes next, I'm gonna watch that trailer. But
Yeah.
oof,
Yeah.
oof. Yeah, let's get to. We got a few comments here. Let's see. Rob, Robert, you might have to get used to the hotel
He said
thing.
hashtag
COVID.
COVID. Damn, you're right.
Yeah,
You're
my
right. At
it's
least they didn't
yeah.
have them sitting in front of like doing an entire season in front of like laptop
Hey,
cameras.
yeah.
Like I
God,
just
yes. Oh, Black Lightning. My goodness.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, Ely says, I think that LaDonna has been conjuring images all of her life, from socialite to genius. And there's something to be said there with
Mhm.
her being in the limelight, being this socialite, having uh, being very book smart and about
Mhm.
computers, and like so, there's something there. I don't know
Yeah.
how to connect the dots, but there's something there that
Yeah.
yeah, I could see that. I could see that. Let's see what else. Ely says. I didn't watch the first iteration of the series. I am seeing how the powers are connected to the person. Was that something the original series did?
You know where my mind went? The,
Go,
the neighborhood. God save the neighborhood.
yo,
The most New York, the most New York Seattle transplant
man, say,
ever. Now that the reason I think of him is because see, we don't. I don't want to ruin anything. I think
hmm
there is something to your theory, and I'll
yeah,
just leave it at because, and I'll just say with this guy, there's an episode of the original in the first season. I cannot remember this guy's name.
hmm
He's so New York, like
yeah,
excessively so, but
Miranda's
he
husband.
randomly so. So apparently, like he lived in like one of the roughest parts of Seattle, and he comes back with God, which I'm trying to think what superhero to compare him to. Basically, he
Daredevil?
can
No.
maybe Daredevil, but he can like read. He could see. His memory is very off the off the charts or whatever. So if
hmm
he sees somebody like kicking ass, he's just like, oh, I'm gonna kick ass. So he decides to become a vigilante.
hmm
But in that case, he cleans up his neighborhood or what if whatever you want to say, and
Yeah.
it does have an effect. So the
hmm
powers are connected to the reason why the person was brought back. It's
Yeah.
and that's
I
I'll
would say
say
that.
that. So yeah.
Yeah.
So
That actor is David Eichenberg, who was
okay.
and I know him from Sex in the City as
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Miranda's husband or boyfriend. Like I just that's the only reference I have for him.
Right.
Yeah, I'll agree. And I'll even say that maybe at times the show didn't know
So,
that,
at
but
times,
they
I mean, shit, they created one whole character who could do every fucking thing, and then they were just like,
yo
"Yo, let's
yo
have
let's
her do
walk this
this."
back.
Yeah,
She can
yeah.
fly and also cook soup in her hair. Like I don't know. It was yeah. That's
That was a
wild.
crazy episode.
Oh my goodness. Marcus says, I'm really interested in Hayden's backstory. If he's from the 30s, I wonder
hmm
if his dislike of doctors is because he was experimented on. That's what I thought. Again, I went to the
hmm
Lovecraft country of it all. I do that with the older characters. So with him, with Claudette, and with the Doctor. But I don't know. I don't know. What do you think?
I think that's probably spot on because like when you talk about being strapped down, that's being subjected to something against your will. And I just did look up. I did a search. God, it's like I don't know how to talk. I write. Um,
Yo.
that took place at the Tuskegee trials, or
And I was thinking that, but I was like, oh, I
yeah.
don't want to show my ignorance because I don't know if this
Oh
was
shit! That's what
the
we got the
right
internet for. To
time
look
period.
smart. Yeah, to look smart. Shit.
I was
Hang
like,
above.
oh,
I'll be
yeah,
sitting down talking with somebody who's like, I don't know. That's what
yeah,
Google's for.
yeah.
No, the trials, they say 1932 to 1972. I'm not
Okay.
saying that he was a part of that. I think that they might even suggest that he was a part
hmm
of something like that, which a viewer will draw parallels between.
Super Surgical
Yeah,
Project.
so, shit. Don't get me started. Isaiah, why he's no
That's Isaiah.
self-respecting. Yeah, that's Isaiah Bradley. That's us. God,
That's the crossover we need.
it's the multiverse, y'all.
Oh man, yeah, he's the variant. Oh my god. Uh,
Um,
yeah. Oh, and I don't know what comment this was referring to, but Ely says exactly. At first, I was getting Tillish vibes.
man,
Maybe Emmett Till.
no, Emmett Till. No, that's exactly.
Still Hayden.
And
Yeah.
I'm not, and that's I don't. Oh man, that's a flashback of that's kind of where they're going. Like he was.
Whew.
I don't want to see that. Like there are like
Yeah.
two damn TV shows coming out about Emmett Till. No, there's
hmm
one movie and then there's a TV show, and it's just like nah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't
Ugh.
know. It depends on how they handle it. If that's
Yeah.
the route that they're going.
I agree.
So
I agree. Oh yeah. Marcus says same. I definitely got it got real with the character if they let it. Yeah. Yeah. It can get real.
I
Um.
mean, we know he's gonna knock some motherfuckers
Bro,
out.
I was like, why didn't they have him punch a wall? But maybe he don't got super strength. But shit,
Yeah.
Hayden was don't mess with he don't play about his.
hmm
Marcus says the interactions between people from different time periods is one of the things that
hmm
make me most excited about this show. Um, I'll speak to that. I like that as well. And what I really and I realized that is the thing that made me love this show before it even came out, is
Mhm.
because you don't get as black, and I'll even say, people of color, because I don't know that you see too many Asian and Hispanic and whatever. I don't see you see too many
Mhm.
people in like sci-fi, futuristic shows, movies, properties, and whatever. And I
Yeah.
think that having being able to tell these stories about black people from very specific points in history
Mhm.
and tie them together in a way that, yeah, you can write a story and you can do that, but you don't see that as normally as you do with white folks. So to have Hayden, who's 91 years old, chopping it up with Claudette, who's, I don't know, what is she like? Maybe 80? No, she's not that old. What would she be like? Maybe in her 50s? No, because if she was from the 50s, whatever, she grown. She
I
grown
told you we
too.
don't do math on the show.
At all. Not at all.
We
What is
don't
she?
do
Is she
math on the show.
12? No. But just to see black people from different points in time and be
Hmm.
just, well, case in point, the scene with Miss Grover. Miss
Yeah.
Grover is a woman who was the not even the oldest in that room, but was the one who was most knowledgeable. You have a woman from 2006, a woman from 1950 something, and a woman who's probably in her 60s. And having to craft a conversation with three different time periods and three different types of black women in mind, like that, you I don't think you see that. I can't think of any other show where, regardless to how you feel, be it campy, corny, CW, whatever, point me to another show where you see this and it's natural within the show. And I don't think we've gotten that.
They're so one of so that we yeah, like you said, we've never seen any of that.
Hmm.
The other thing though that I'm thinking about is like black people and I'm thinking about like time travel,
Yeah.
because right now this is time travel.
Hmm.
And the two examples that I think of, like on varying degrees of it, is various sides of it is there's I love this trilogy. I love this trilogy, but in the first Back to the Future, you
Hmm.
have the black guy who is like cleaning up the
Sure.
he's cleaning up the diner. He works at the diner, but then eventually in the 80s he's running for mayor. And I think
Hmm.
it's like his name Goldie or something.
Hmm.
And I'm
Hmm.
just like, okay, so that's kind of like a bit part um in this world. We're
Hmm.
telling like largely, it's about white Americana. So that's like a depiction of a black person in like a time travel show.
Yeah.
And then you look at something like Timeless with which was on NBC. If you ever get a chance to watch it, it's really, really good. It's a time travel action thriller. And one of the characters on there is played by a guy named Malcolm. The actor's name is Malcolm Barrett,
Hmm.
and he plays Rufus Carlin. And he's a scientist.
Hmm.
He's a scientist who will go who time travels, with the I think there's like there's a white guy who's like he's a secret agent, he's the agent or something, and
Hmm.
then
Oh. Mm.
there's a woman, I can't remember what her role is. I think she's another scientist, or maybe she's the historian of the group. But I've seen like a few episodes, but there are episodes where they highlight the fact that this is a brother
Yeah.
time traveling. Like,
Hmm.
you know so the joke always is like, why do we want to time travel to areas that were occupied largely by white folks?
Yeah.
Like, we don't want to do that shit. So um I like that this is a case of, in this case, these all these people are being brought forward into our time. And like Marcus was saying, that their interactions are such that they can't shake where they came from.
Right.
I mean, that's just kind of how it is.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah.
think that's interesting. But I always say, check out Timeless if you get a chance. It was really
Yeah.
good.
I wrote that down. It's actually on Hulu as well. So anybody
Okay.
who has Hulu who's interested, I saw it's 2 seasons, and I've never seen that show, but I want to say I saw a clip. Is it though it is a action thriller? Do they have like comedic elements to it?
I mean, there's some funny moments, from what
Because
I
I want to
remember.
say I saw a clip of the black guy talking about not wanting to go to a certain part of the. I don't know. It could have been maybe something else, but I think maybe.
You probably saw, I mean, you're right, because I think, like I said, that discussion would come up. Like I remember he was talking to one of the lead scientists who's already a black guy,
Mm-hmm.
who's another black guy, and he says, uh, "There's no time period
Yeah.
where that's
Mm-hmm.
And then there's even another part where they travel to, I can't remember what time period. He gets thrown into jail, and he has this very awesome like tirade or whatever against like
Mm-hmm.
a racist cop.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of those things where I was just like, I'm glad that they acknowledge that, this
Mm.
is unfortunately,
Yeah.
this would be something that you'd have to deal with.
Yeah.
So
Oof. Well, get
so
into
yeah.
Timeless, y'all.
Yeah, check Timeless. Yeah,
Do we
Timeless
have
is
another review show? No, I just.
hey, shit. At least this one is only 2 seasons. That one is only
Oh,
2 seasons.
right. Oh,
So
Lord. Okay, so Marcus says the real story didn't
mm,
need a queer kid. To be honest, the queer kid is a good story point, but not
mm,
for his character. And the more I think about it, the fear that okay, I'm of two minds. I
mm,
am happy that there is a character who is not just I'm pro LGBT whatever, because I feel like that gives you something else to play with, so
mm.
it doesn't feel like all the marginalized people, everybody getting together, because it's not the case. Everybody does not
All right.
always get together. However, my fear is that this Quincy character is going to go through hell so that the Reverend can come out on the other side as this great, now understanding person who accepts his son. I understand that that is a real series of events for a lot of people, that you deal with family who are homophobic or whatever. We're kind of reaching here. We don't know for sure, but it seems like they're taking the Reverend that way. My issue is I don't want this queer person to have to suffer so that the Reverend can have this redemption arc. I
Mm-hmm.
don't like when people's like, "Oh, you don't like gay people? I hope you have a gay kid." No, don't subject that gay kid to these terrible people. Let's not do that. So I'm hoping that's not the route we go. But I'm with Marcus. I do think the queer kid and the whoever in the
Mm-hmm.
cast not being queer friendly. I think one, it makes sense because you got people from all these different time periods, and
Yeah.
then two, everybody's not going to be kumbaya, so I'm okay with that. But oh, I'm hoping we don't stress out Quincy so that the Reverend can be a good guy again,
Yo,
please.
what if Quincy
Please.
is Isabel?
Mm, oh, yo, bro, if that
Yes.
actress comes on screen and is Quincy, I'm giving this show all the praise. I don't even care what they do after
Well,
that.
no, even
I,
just that storyline, that would be crazy.
oh my
Um,
god, yeah, even
yeah,
that, like,
mhm,
cause oh my,
yeah.
okay, yeah, y'all, deep
I
cut.
just, I
Please
just,
watch the
I just
first
messed
series.
blew your mind. No, no, no.
That's better
Um,
than my Shanice is the son.
oh man.
Yo,
God,
oh,
that show, I
mm-mm.
love it, but it was like I said, when
It was
everybody's
something.
just like, that shit was the greatest. I'm like, okay,
It
like I
was
love
something.
it.
It
Yeah,
happened and it's cool.
I love it.
Let's see. Marcus says, I think they needed another religious character to be the homophobe, or maybe they really just want us to hate the Reverend. And that seems like it, because I don't like the Reverend, but that's because they've set him up as a not likable person. Like I didn't need this. I
Hmm.
already didn't like him. Like,
Right, like I
this
said,
is overkill.
he said 2 episodes ago, I ain't got no. He's like, he didn't say they dead to me, but he's like,
He
that's another.
could have.
He's like, that's a path that I'm not going to take. And I was just
And
like,
see, yes,
yeah, like you've
that's
already.
why.
No, if you say what you're gonna say.
No, I feel like the queer kid part is
Hmm.
really overkill, because I already didn't like him because you
Yeah,
ran out on your family. Like, for me, it
yeah.
was like, I don't care if the kid was straight or gay or queer, non-binary or whatever. Like, you left
Hmm.
this, you have
Yeah.
access to this person, and you're
Hmm.
not going to um um capitalize on it or whatever. I don't know words. You're not going to take advantage
Reconnect
of
or
it.
whatever.
Yeah.
Well, you know who's gonna turn out to be
Oh
the
Lord.
other religious character that's the homophobe is that
Don't
woman.
say Soraya. No.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Whoever that the mystery white woman that keeps popping
Yo,
up.
I do not like her,
She
man.
gonna pop up spouting scripture
No, for
and
real.
but
Hey.
beating people with Bibles. That's gonna be
or
her.
something. I don't like the handle. Okay, that is my issue with this show because I don't. I'm happy that woman got a check. Get the check,
Yeah.
lady. But like, bro, if she don't show up next episode, I'm gonna really be mad. Like, what is the point?
I mean, shit. It's.
Yo,
I mean, we got another CW show that's good for like showing having people pop
ugh,
up and then just disappear. Man,
bruh. Let's not get into Riverdale because whatever.
shit, I was talking about Black Lightning. Half them
That
green light
what?
babies, like, where the fuck did they go? Where
Bruh.
they, are
Yes,
they
they all
are
disappeared.
they are they in a hotel? Are they in that
They are.
hotel?
They are.
They're in that hotel
They're in
that
that
they're in
room.
on
They're
4400.
in that room. Watch, that's gonna be exactly what the
It's
Reverend
gonna be the
Pod.
green light
Oh my
babies.
God, y'all! This shared universe is a lot. This is a lot. Jesus Christ.
Man,
Yeah. This is one hell of a show.
yeah.
Um, I don't know, man. Who was your favorite this episode?
Oh man. I still got to give it to I keep saying Dr. Andre, but Dr.
Mhm,
Davis. Um, I he just worked. He worked
mhm,
for me. Even with the obsessiveness, I like that
mhm.
we got to see another side. Another
Yeah.
side of him. How
Mhm.
about you?
Yeah. For me, um, Michael says green light babies got snatched up by the green light. No, for real. Um, for me, I'm going to go with Cynthia.
Okay.
I think that actress, and I had asked on Twitter, I was like, "Do anybody know her Twitter? Show it to me. Show me who she is," because I was too lazy to do the work. I'm going to find out, but I thought she did a really good job. I thought
Yeah.
um, playing opposite Doctor in the 20s, I thought she did a good job. I thought the clothing was nice. And again,
Hmm.
seeing a black woman of a different size and body type, I
Yeah.
thought was like, okay. And in the past, not even
Yeah.
necessarily like, oh, they don't exist in erasure and all that. Like in the past, it wasn't some Josephine Baker, slim flapper, you know, racially ambiguous. Like it was a black woman,
Hmm.
of a certain visual
Yeah.
aesthetic, and I like that. And I honestly, I fell for Cynthia the first scene. I was like, yeah, bring her to the future,
Yep.
bring Cynthia here. So for me, it's Cynthia. Yeah, I got to go with her.
Awesome.
Hmm.
Are we doing least favorite? I don't.
I mean, we can. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
no, no, no. I'm good. We trying to get some of the actors on the show.
Ah,
Um, let's keep it real.
yo, yeah. So what about a favorite scene then?
Hmm, that is a conundrum.
Mm.
I'm trying to like get one where it's not like Dr. Andre every
I
episode.
mean, if that's the MVP, that's the MVP.
Yeah, it it might be Dr. Andre and
Yep.
Shanice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
think
can
Dr. Andre.
yeah, I can see that. I can see that. And honestly, I like Cynthia.
Hmm.
Um, but I would go with that scene too, and I would go
Hmm.
with it from the doctor talking and Shanice not wanting to touch him because I felt like
Right.
that was such a good part of the scene because not
Hmm.
only did he do his little thing or whatever, but like he allowed her inside. You know what I'm saying? Like he was like, okay, no, I'll give you permission. So
Yeah.
I say that scene as well, but even starting from Shanice being nervous about comforting him
Hmm.
just because she didn't know what she would possibly do or glean. So I say the same scene. I think it was my favorite as well.
Yeah, I think actually I can. We're not talking about actors or actresses. Least favorite character. I've got Jessica because they
Yo.
added. It was so much like going on with her where it just didn't work. So,
Yeah.
but that's a testament to the acting ability of Miss. I'll find it. Wilder
Yeah.
Yari. So
Wilder Yari. Oh, this That don't sound like a white woman name. What is she?
Oh,
What
I
is
don't know. I mean,
Wanda Yari? I don't know. Maybe I don't know my Anglo-Saxon names well enough, but that don't sound
no, it wasn't
waspy to
like
me.
Mildred Grapeworth.
Yo,
Mildred Grapeworth. That's going in a book.
what are you
Mildred Grapeworth.
doing?
I don't even know
Oh
this.
man.
Man, that sounds like a Star Wars name. Grapeworth.
Hey, there you go.
Um,
Dang,
yeah.
I don't know if I got a least favorite. Do I? Well,
Yeah, I mean, you don't really have to have one. I mean,
I
there's.
don't know. I don't even want to even go with Rev because I'm still unsure as to what they're doing with him, and
Yeah.
it's not that I like him any least than I already did. So, um, yeah, nah, maybe Keisha's webcam. That's what I don't like. So,
Got you.
if that's the person. And what is our rating? How are we rating this
So
episode?
for this episode, I just chose lab hamsters or lab rats.
Lab
Yeah,
rats. How many
lab
lab rats
rats. How many
do
lab
you?
rats? How many
Uh,
lab rats from the 1920s?
mm,
It's for me. It's still going to be somewhere around like a 7.
mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
6.5 to 7. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with a solid 7.
Mhm.
I want to lean 7.5, but I'm gonna hold off because I don't know what they're doing with Rev. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna say a solid 7. This is not bad.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think my pause with the Reverend and Quincy situation
Mhm.
has me just going with a solid 7 instead of anything higher because I'm like I'm on the fence. But yeah,
Right.
I'm a 7 as well.
Okay. Cool.
Woo!
So we'll see what happens next week
Yeah.
in the back cave or the Andre cave.
Yeah, in the green light grotto. I don't know. Yeah,
Green light
y'all.
grotto. I love it.
Look, listeners, let us know what y'all think. Who's your favorite, your least favorite, your favorite scene? How many 1920s Harlem Renaissance lab rats do you rate this episode out of 10? It's just, oh man. Yeah. So let these folks know where to find you, support you, and check out your stuff.
They can find me at robertkjeffrey.com. Instagram handle is at the bottom,
Hmm.
and yeah, those are 2 spots where you can find me.
Yes, y'all. Those links will be in the show notes along with mine. Let's see. Carefree Blurred on Twitter. I'm live tweeting y'all. I'll be hitting them live tweets on the Monday. Check me out. Shout out to God Given Name. Homie, you've been riding with me. Excuse me, Carefree Black Nerd everywhere else. If you want to email the show, carefreeblacknerd@gmail.com. Somewhere in the subject line, have 4400 or something similar, something clever maybe to get me like, okay. um and check us back here, doing the live review on the Thursdays. Now with Thanksgiving coming up next Thursday, I'm letting y'all know we may not, we ain't gonna be here. I'll say that.
Yeah, no, you can say that right now.
We
You
ain't
can
gonna
say
be
we're
here.
taking a break.
So we're going to figure out
Yeah,
what's what, how we're moving forward. But like, you'll definitely follow us on
yeah.
these socials, and you'll get some update. But we ain't gonna be here. Y'all
Well,
could
I
be
mean,
here, but we ain't gonna be
yeah, and catch up with the episodes. I mean, you can
here.
watch the
Yes.
series and then
Oof.
listen to us as you
Hmm.
drive into your grandma's house for some
Yes.
turkey ham. Oh my
Hmm.
god, I'm so fucking ready.
Oh,
I'm just so
that boy
hungry.
hungry.
I'm so hungry,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
So
So check it out, y'all. Yeah. So check out the back catalog. Watch the old videos from this season. Check out all the first series. We're up to season 3, episode 8,
episode
something like that.
11. I think
The
it's like 10 or
mm,
11.
episode
It's like 10 or
11. Yes,
11.
yes. The episode 11. We have
Yeah,
one more in the chamber. I don't know.
yeah.
Whatever. So, please check us out. Shout out to BYNK Radio. Check them out as well.
Mhm.
And check the show notes. And until next time, stay carefree, stay nerdy, stay geeky, stay minding your business, stay out the Andre cave. I don't know. Stay black girl magic really aggressively, like Miss Grover said. Just black
Jeez.
girl magic. I was like, what? All right. Okay, Miss Grover.
Very
Relax.
happy.
So yeah. All right.